Your life is not over. Your future is not canceled. Your destiny is not denied. It's delayed for preparation. You may have lost a job. You may have watched your marriage crumble. You may be standing in the ashes of what used to be your dream. But let me declare to you right now, God does not bless what is broken until it's surrendered. And if you're still breathing, you're not buried, you're being planted. And what gets planted right can grow back stronger. Your setback is not the end of your story. It's a chapter in the process of your development. What you call a breakdown, heaven might be calling a breakthrough in disguise. The frustration, the confusion, the disappointment, they are not evidence of failure. They are evidence that you are in transition. And transition never feels good because it's not designed to be comfortable. It's designed to strip, to shape, and to strengthen. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart. Plans collapse, people walk away, doors slam shut. And it's easy in those moments to believe that you've missed your moment, that you've gone too far, waited too long, or lost too much. But here's the truth. Setbacks are often the soil where God plants the seeds of greatness. If you're willing to shift your perspective, you'll see that what you thought was a burial was actually a planting. Sometimes life has to strip you of what's temporary so it can position you for what's eternal. The job you lost, the relationship that ended, the money that dried up, those were not punishments. They were preparation. Preparation for a version of you that couldn't survive in the old situation. You see, certain blessings require a different version of you. And if life didn't push you, you wouldn't have moved. The setback isn't just about what you lost, it's about what you're being positioned to gain. But positioning feels like pain when you don't understand the purpose. That's why mindset matters. If you believe the setback is final, you'll stop fighting. You'll start settling, and you'll never see the power that's trying to emerge from within you. But if you believe the setback is temporary, you'll rise again with greater focus and fire. Setbacks strip away the fluff. They reveal what's real. When everything falls apart, you discover what you really believe. You learn what you've built your identity on, and for many, it's a moment of divine disruption. God doesn't destroy your plans to hurt you. He disrupts your plans to save you. Because what you were building was too small, too shallow, or too short-sighted for the purpose he placed in you. The greatest versions of ourselves are often born in the darkest seasons. Think about it. Pressure makes diamonds, not comfort. Fire purifies gold, not safety. And it's in the crushing that oil is released. So if you're feeling crushed, it could be because something powerful is trying to flow through you. The pain is not pointless. It's producing something in you that success could never teach. This is where identity gets forged. When you're no longer holding on to applause, approval, or outcomes, you start to remember who you really are. Setbacks remove the noise. They break the illusion that you were in control. And that's a good thing, because sometimes the very thing we call control is the same thing keeping us small. It's in the letting go that we finally grow. Most people fear setbacks because they think they signal weakness, but in reality, setbacks often reveal unseen strength. You wouldn't know how strong your faith was until it got tested. You wouldn't know how deep your resolve was until life gave you a reason to quit. Adversity doesn't weaken you. It shows you what you're really made of. And while the enemy may have meant it for evil, heaven can still use it for good. That detour, that delay, that heartbreak, it might just be the thing that unlocks your destiny. The road may not look like you expected, but the outcome is still under divine control. There is a purpose in every pause, a message in every mess, and a gift in every grind. In the moment of setback, you may feel like you're falling apart. But what's really happening is that everything that doesn't belong in your next season is being peeled away. Relationships, habits, thoughts, fears, things you didn't have the strength to release on your own are being removed. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared. Preparation doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like waiting. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like starting over. But even in the slow season, you're being sharpened. Your character is being carved. Your foundation is being reinforced because the weight of your future requires deeper roots. Setbacks bring you face to face with choice. Will you remain bitter or will you rise better? The bitterness is natural. The anger is understandable. But bitterness is a prison that holds your future hostage to your past pain. You can visit the memory, just don't build a house there. You're allowed to grieve, but you are not allowed to give up. The key is to stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what can this do for me? That question shifts you from victim to victor. It shifts you from powerless to powerful. When you realize you're not just going through something, you're growing through something, that's when the healing begins. People will count you out in your setback. They'll whisper behind your back. They'll laugh at your losses. Let them. The same ones who mocked you in the valley will be shocked when they see you on the mountain. But remember, this journey isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that the promise on your life is still valid even after the storm. You may feel tired. You may feel uncertain. You may not even know where to begin again. But all you need is one step, not a leap, not a sprint, just one step. And then another, and then another. And with every step you build momentum. With every step you reclaim your identity. With every step you move closer to what was always meant for you. Your setback didn't cancel the promise, it just changed the path. You're not too late, you're not too broken, and you're not too far gone. Sometimes the greatest strength you'll ever have is the courage to start again from the bottom, this time with wisdom, experience, and a different fire in your soul. This journey isn't about rebuilding what was, it's about building something better. You're not going back to what you lost. You're moving forward into what you're meant to lead. The old version of you served its purpose, but the new version of you is equipped for new levels, new doors, and new dimensions. Let the setback reveal your strategy. Let the silence develop your sensitivity. Let the closed doors increase your discernment. Because when the comeback begins, you won't just recover, you'll rise with clarity, authority, and resilience no one can take from you. The first move in rewriting your story is not changing the world around you, it's changing how you see the truth in front of you. That means owning your reality. Not the filtered version, not the version that makes you look good, not the version you tell people so they don't ask too many questions. I'm talking about the raw, unpolished, uncomfortable, unedited truth. The truth about where you are, what you've allowed, what you've tolerated, and what you've been running from. Most people are not stuck because they lack potential. They're stuck because they're lying to themselves. It's easier to say, it's not my fault, than to admit, I let that slide. It's easier to blame the boss, the partner, the system, the season, than to say, I ignored the signs. I lowered my standards. I abandoned my boundaries. But hear this, you cannot heal what you keep hiding. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. And you cannot change what you won't confront. Reality is the foundation of all transformation. Until you own it, you're renting your life instead of owning your purpose. You'll keep repeating cycles and calling it bad luck. You'll keep chasing distractions and calling it ambition. You'll keep avoiding the mirror and wondering why you don't recognize yourself. But when you get honest, really honest, you start to reclaim your authority over your life. Owning your reality is not about shame, it's about strategy. It's not about beating yourself up, it's about taking your power back. Because when you stop waiting for someone else to come fix it, you start realizing you have what it takes to rebuild it. When you stop acting like a victim of circumstance, you step into the role of architect. And architects don't complain about what's broken, they design what's next. There's nothing noble about pretending you're okay when you're not. There's no strength in smiling through pain you won't process. Pretending to be whole doesn't make you whole, it makes you hollow. And eventually, the weight of that performance will crush your progress. So stop performing and start processing. Give yourself permission to be where you are without guilt, without denial, without filters. Denial delays destiny. Every day you spend running from the truth is the day you postpone your breakthrough. It takes courage to say, I'm lost, I'm angry, I'm confused, I'm scared. But there is power in your honesty, because honesty creates access. And once you access the truth, you can start building from it. You can't rise from a place you pretend you're not in. There are some people who stay stuck for years, not because they don't want more, but because they won't admit what they've settled for. They tolerate relationships that drain them. They accept environments that suffocate them. They stay silent in situations that shrink them. And they convince themselves this is as good as it gets. But deep down, they know it's not. Deep down, they know they were made for more, but they can't pursue more without first owning where they stopped settling for less. Your story doesn't begin with success, it begins with truth. Not just the good parts, the broken parts, the hidden parts, the parts you don't want anyone to see. That's where your power lives. That's where your wisdom comes from. That's where your future gets forged. Because the moment you stop pretending is the moment you start progressing. And progress requires truth. You have to get clear about what you've allowed, the boundaries you ignored, the red flags you justified, the opportunities you passed on because of fear, the talents you buried because of insecurity, the dreams you delayed because of doubt. This isn't about condemnation, it's about clarity. Because when you get clear, you get control, and when you have control, you can change direction. It's easy to talk about rewriting your story when you feel inspired. It's harder when you're still in the mess, still in the debt, still in the heartbreak, still in the confusion. But the first sentence of your next chapter starts with truth. Not results, not applause, just truth. The truth that says, I need help. The truth that says, I'm tired of pretending. The truth that says, I know I was made for more than this. Owning your reality doesn't mean you have all the answers. It just means you're ready to ask the right questions. It means you're ready to let go of the mask and pick up the mirror. It means you stop being addicted to appearances and start getting obsessed with authenticity. Because only the real version of you can live the real version of your purpose. There is no freedom in pretending. There is only pressure. Pressure to keep performing, pressure to meet expectations you never agreed to, pressure to carry burdens that don't belong to you. But when you own your reality, that pressure starts to lift. Because you're no longer trapped in the image, you're grounded in the truth. And truth is the soil where growth begins. So much of what you want is on the other side of ownership. You want peace, own your patterns. You want purpose, own your pain. You want progress, own your process. Nothing changes until you stop blaming, stop hiding, and start being honest about what's broken. Because once you admit it, you can address it. And once you address it, you can outgrow it. There is a version of you that's waiting on the other side of this honesty. A version that's not afraid to say, I was wrong, I fell short, but I'm still worthy, I'm still chosen, I'm still capable. That version isn't held back by guilt or shame. That version walks in boldness because truth has set them free, not just spiritually, but emotionally, mentally, and practically. People might walk away when you start being honest. Let them. The truth offends those who benefited from your silence. But this journey isn't about making others comfortable. It's about making yourself whole. And sometimes wholeness requires separation. Separation from denial, separation from dysfunction, separation from the lies you once believed about yourself. You were not created to live in illusion. You were created to live in clarity. Clarity of identity, clarity of direction, clarity of values. And that clarity can only come when you stop numbing the truth and start nurturing it. Truth is not always easy, but it is always empowering. Even when it hurts, it heals. Even when it stings, it strengthens. So many people live under labels that were never theirs. They internalized failure. They accepted rejection. They believed they were unworthy because of what happened. But the truth is, none of those experiences define your destiny. What defines your destiny is what you decide to do now. Not based on fantasy, but based on the full truth of where you are and where you're ready to go. Pain is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Most people see pain as punishment, as something that comes to destroy, to weaken, or to tear down. But pain, when viewed through the right lens, is not a weapon formed against you. It's a tool being used to shape you. It's not an interruption to your journey. It's part of your preparation. It doesn't mean you're cursed. It means you're being carved. There are things you can only learn through pain, lessons that comfort would never teach. Pain strips away illusions. It confronts your ego. It humbles your pride. It reveals where your trust was misplaced. It shows you the cracks in your foundation so you can build again, this time stronger, wiser, and more intentional. Pain doesn't show up to destroy you. It shows up to develop you. The truth is, you don't grow when everything is easy. You grow when you're forced to stretch. You grow when you have to endure, when you have to forgive, when you have to let go of what you thought you couldn't live without. You grow when life breaks your routine, when your heart gets shattered, when your plans fall apart. Growth doesn't come from being comfortable. It comes from being challenged. Pain reveals what you really believe. It reveals the difference between faith that's convenient and faith that's committed. When everything is going well, it's easy to speak affirmations. It's easy to act bold. But when pain shows up, that's when you find out what your foundation is built on. Are you standing on feelings, or are you standing on truth? Pain is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something is being refined in you. The pressure you're under is not there to break you. It's there to birth something through you. Purpose is often wrapped in pain, and many people miss their purpose because they're trying to escape the very process that's preparing them for it. You can't anoint someone without crushing the oil out of them. You can't get wine without pressing the grapes. You can't build muscle without tearing the fibers. In nature, transformation requires disruption. So why do we expect spiritual, emotional, or mental transformation to be painless? The very thing you're trying to avoid may be the thing that unlocks your next level. Pain makes you pay attention. It brings clarity. It silences the noise. It forces you to listen deeper to your body, to your heart, to God. When everything is fine, we tend to coast. But pain has a way of slowing you down, making you reevaluate, making you reconsider who you've been listening to and what you've been living for. There's a reason some of your most defining moments came after deep disappointment. There's a reason the most powerful parts of your testimony came out of your trials. Because pain is not wasted when it's surrendered. It becomes the platform where your strength is revealed and your message is refined. The people who've been through the most, when healed, often lead with the most clarity, compassion, and conviction. You don't need to be ashamed of your pain. You need to stop hiding it and start understanding it. The pain that you try to cover up is often the part of your story someone else is praying for an answer to. Your healing could unlock someone else's hope. But healing doesn't happen in denial. It happens in truth, and truth requires you to sit with the pain long enough to hear what it's trying to teach you. There's a depth of wisdom that only comes from walking through the fire. You can read books and attend seminars, but lived experience is a different teacher. When you've bled, cried, lost, failed, and gotten back up again, you carry a weight that no certificate can give. That weight becomes your authority. That weight becomes your credibility. That weight becomes your voice. You're not powerful because you've avoided pain. You're powerful because you've endured it and emerged with perspective. Pain doesn't disqualify you, it qualifies you. It qualifies you to lead, to teach, to empathize, to guide others through their own valleys. The difference is you don't let pain define you, you let it refine you. We live in a culture that teaches us to numb, to escape, to pretend, but pain ignored becomes pain stored, and stored pain becomes silent sabotage. It will leak into your relationships, your work, your purpose. But pain acknowledged becomes pain redeemed. It becomes the bridge from where you were to who you were born to be. Pain forces you to make a decision. Will you become bitter or will you become better? Will you use it as an excuse to shrink or will you use it as a reason to rise? Pain doesn't give you those answers. It just asks the questions. The answers come from the choice you make in the middle of the storm. Your greatest breakthroughs often come after your greatest breakdowns. Because the version of you that could survive the old season is not the version required for the next one. So pain shows up to break off what can't go with you. Pain doesn't hate you. It's preparing you. It's pruning what's unnecessary. It's making room for the real you to emerge. When you embrace pain as part of the process, you stop asking, why me? And you start asking, what is this growing in me? You start to see pain as an invitation to deeper purpose. An invitation to step into who you were created to be, not despite the struggle, but because of it. The very thing that was meant to break you becomes the very thing that builds you. Pain is part of the human experience, but how you process it determines whether it becomes your prison or your platform. You can let it paralyze you, or you can let it propel you. You can let it define your identity, or you can let it deepen your authority. You can carry it as a burden, or you can wear it as a badge of victory that says, I've been through the fire and I came out strong. Nobody likes pain while it's happening. But if you look back at your life, the seasons that broke you were also the seasons that built you. You discovered your voice, your mission, your courage, and your faith in places you would have never chosen to walk through. And while you may not have wanted the pain, you can choose to let it serve a purpose. When you choose to stand on your pain instead of hiding from it, you give it meaning. And when your pain has meaning, your story has power. Pain no longer becomes the chapter you're ashamed of. It becomes the chapter that makes everything else in your story make sense. Because now you understand that pain wasn't sent to punish you. It was sent to prepare you. Progress is often misunderstood because people are looking for leaps when life is asking for steps. We want overnight transformation, but what we're called to walk through is daily commitment. Real growth doesn't usually show up in explosions or big dramatic moments. It reveals itself slowly, in quiet consistency, in the little choices you make when no one is watching, in the steps that feel small but are laying a foundation that can't be shaken. The danger of expecting big results quickly is that we start to despise the process. We discount the day of small beginnings. We become frustrated when change doesn't happen fast enough. But progress is not about speed, it's about direction. It's about staying faithful even when the results don't yet look like the reward you envisioned. You don't have to take 100 steps today. You just have to take the next one. Every breakthrough you see in others started with steps no one else applauded. The business didn't grow because of a big launch. It grew because of late nights, early mornings, and unseen effort. The marriage didn't heal in a moment. It healed through hard conversations, forgiveness, patience, and rebuilding trust. That fitness transformation didn't happen in 30 days. It happened with daily decisions to show up when quitting felt easier. Progress feels slow because it is slow. And that's not a flaw in the process, it's the design. Because slow progress builds deep roots. And what grows fast without roots gets torn down just as quickly. What takes time to build gains the strength to last. You don't want the kind of success that crumbles under pressure. You want the kind that's anchored in discipline, molded by time and refined through trials. One step may not feel like much, but over time, one step becomes 10, 10 becomes 100, and 100 becomes a lifestyle. Too many people give up because they're not willing to embrace the mundane. They want fireworks and fanfare, but real progress often looks like repetition, doing the work again and again until the results start to catch up with the effort. It takes maturity to appreciate slow seasons, because in a fast-paced world, slowness feels like failure. But not every delay is denial. Sometimes God slows you down to strengthen your character, to prepare your heart, to increase your capacity. You may not be moving as fast as you hoped, but if you're still moving, you're not stuck. You're being shaped. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're making progress. Every time you choose integrity over shortcuts, you're building something that will last. Every time you choose to keep going when your feelings say quit, you're becoming the version of yourself you were born to be. Those steps don't look impressive, but they are essential. Progress is not about being perfect every day. It's about being persistent every day. It's about getting back up when you fall. It's about learning from your mistakes instead of being paralyzed by them. If you're waiting until you feel ready, you'll never begin. But if you start taking steps, readiness will catch up to you. Comparison is the enemy of progress. When you look at someone else's chapter 20 and compare it to your chapter 2, you'll convince yourself you're behind when you're actually on schedule. Everyone has a different path, a different pace, a different process. Honor yours. Stay in your lane. Focus on your next step, not someone else's highlight reel. There will be days you don't feel motivated. That's okay. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Motivation will come and go, but discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation has disappeared. And every step you take when it's hard matters even more than the steps you take when it's easy. You won't always see the results right away, but progress is happening beneath the surface. Seeds grow in silence before they ever break the ground. Muscles strengthen in rest just as much as in strain. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is keep showing up when you can't yet see the change. Don't underestimate the power of tiny wins, making your bed, drinking water, saying no to something that doesn't serve your growth, speaking kindly to yourself, choosing patience when anger is easier. These are not small things. They are building blocks. They are evidence that you are aligning your actions with your values. You might feel like your steps are slow, but slow steps in the right direction are better than fast steps in the wrong one. A rushed path often leads to regret, but intentional progress leads to wisdom. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you're not where you used to be either, and that is worth honoring. Progress also includes rest. Don't confuse rest with quitting. Pausing to breathe, reset, and restore your energy is not laziness, it's wisdom. You are not a machine, you are a human being. And your ability to endure the journey is tied to your ability to care for yourself along the way. There will be seasons where your progress feels invisible to everyone else. But just because others don't see it doesn't mean it isn't real. The internal battles you've overcome, the habits you've shifted, the thoughts you've challenged, those things matter. They are the hidden victories that make visible transformation possible. Keep track of the progress you've made, no matter how small. Journaling, reflecting, celebrating, these practices remind you that movement is happening. They remind you that you're not stuck, and they give you the fuel to keep stepping forward even when the path ahead feels uncertain. Sometimes the biggest step is not doing more, it's refusing to give up, refusing to let fear lead, refusing to let shame speak, refusing to stop believing that something better is possible. That refusal becomes your fuel. And over time, it becomes your testimony. The journey is long and it will test you. But if you take it step by step, you will look up one day and realize you're living in the very place you used to pray for, not because you leapt, but because you walked. Day by day, step by step, decision by decision. And in doing so, you became the kind of person who didn't just wish for change, you walked it out. Motivation is often celebrated like a magical spark that ignites success overnight, but the truth is, motivation is fleeting, an emotion that comes and goes like the weather. It's exciting when you feel it, but unreliable when you need it most. Discipline, on the other hand, is the steady engine that keeps you moving forward even when motivation has left the building. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who do. Motivation feels good because it's tied to feelings, excitement, passion, inspiration. But feelings are unpredictable. Some days you wake up energized, other days you wake up drained. If you rely on motivation alone, you're at the mercy of your mood swings. That's why people start strong and quit fast. When motivation fades, so does effort. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. It's a commitment you keep to yourself regardless of circumstances. Discipline is about showing up when you don't want to. It's about doing what needs to be done even when the thrill is gone, when the newness has worn off, and when the voice in your head says, I can't. That's the moment discipline shines. It turns ordinary days into extraordinary progress by building habits that no mood can disrupt. Think about the most successful people you admire. They don't always wake up feeling motivated. They wake up disciplined. They've trained themselves to take action even on their worst days. They've built routines so ingrained that skipping a workout, a practice session, or a deadline feels unnatural because discipline made it a non-negotiable part of who they are. Motivation is like a gust of wind. It can push you forward, but it can also die down unexpectedly. Discipline is like a well-built engine. It powers you through calm days and storms alike. When motivation is high, discipline fuels that momentum. When motivation is low, discipline carries you across the finish line. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we have to feel like it before we start. But waiting for the perfect feeling is like waiting for a green light that may never come. Discipline says, I don't have to feel like it, I have to do it. This mindset shift is what transforms ordinary people into champions. It's not about motivation, it's about commitment. Discipline trains your mind to focus on long-term goals rather than short-term feelings. Motivation is distracted by pleasure and pain in the moment. Discipline looks beyond immediate comfort and chooses the harder path because it leads to lasting results. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. There is power in repetition. Discipline builds strength through consistent, repeated action. It's what makes small progress add up over time. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going through the seasons when progress seems invisible and the payoff feels distant. Those are the moments where discipline proves its worth. When you rely on motivation, you're vulnerable to external influences, your environment, your mood, even the opinions of others. Discipline internalizes your power. It gives you ownership of your actions. You decide who you will be regardless of what's happening around you. That kind of control creates confidence, and discipline also protects you from the temptation of shortcuts. Motivation can lead to impulsive decisions, quick fixes that promise fast results but don't last. Discipline keeps you aligned with your principles and your process. It reminds you that real success is earned, not given, and it requires patience, persistence, and hard work. It's easy to be motivated when you see progress, but discipline is what keeps you going when progress stalls. Motivation celebrates wins. Discipline perseveres through setbacks. When the newness fades and the challenges increase, discipline is the anchor that prevents you from drifting away from your purpose. You can't control how motivated you feel, but you can control how disciplined you are, and that control is where freedom lives. Discipline frees you from the tyranny of your emotions and impulses. It helps you build a lifestyle that supports your goals rather than sabotages them. Sometimes discipline feels boring, tedious, or repetitive, but that's exactly why it's so powerful. While motivation seeks excitement and novelty, discipline thrives in consistency and routine. It turns discipline into a habit and habits into identity. Over time, who you are becomes defined by what you consistently do, not by what you occasionally feel. Discipline also develops character. It teaches you patience, perseverance, and humility. It shows you that success is not about luck or talent alone. It's about dedication and effort. Discipline molds you into someone who can be trusted to follow through no matter the circumstance. When motivation fades, discipline says, I'll take it from here. It's the difference between starting a journey and finishing it. Many people have big dreams, but only those with discipline turn dreams into reality. Discipline makes the impossible possible by turning small daily decisions into lifelong achievements. You don't have to wait for motivation to strike to begin working toward your goals. Start with discipline, set a time, set a place, and commit to the process. Over time, discipline will produce motivation because success fuels passion. The cycle becomes self-sustaining. Discipline creates results. Results generate motivation, and motivation encourages more discipline. Ultimately, discipline is greater than motivation because it doesn't rely on how you feel. It's a promise to yourself to stay on course, to keep moving forward, and to build the life you want regardless of temporary emotions. Discipline is the foundation of all lasting success. It's the quiet force that turns potential into performance and dreams into reality. There's a power in this world far greater than any one of us, a force that moves beyond our understanding, beyond our control, and beyond our own strength. Aligning with that power means recognizing that you are not alone in your journey, that there is a divine intelligence or universal energy working in your favor, even when things seem impossible. To align with a power greater than you is to step out of the illusion of self-sufficiency and embrace a source of strength that never fails. This alignment begins with humility. It requires admitting that your own efforts, while necessary, are not enough to carry you through every trial, every setback, or every dream. Pride tells us we must do it all on our own. But wisdom shows us that true power comes when we surrender control and invite something bigger to work through us. When you align yourself with this greater power, you tap into a wellspring of resilience and guidance that cannot be found by human effort alone. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where this greater power wants to take you. It's the trust that even when the path is unclear, you are being led. Faith does not guarantee an easy road, but it guarantees that you are not walking it alone. When you align with this power, obstacles don't disappear, but your capacity to overcome them is multiplied. Challenges become opportunities to witness this greater force at work in your life. Many times, we try to push forward by sheer will, ignoring the signs, the timing, and the flow around us. This resistance drains us and creates frustration. Alignment means learning to move with the current rather than against it. It's not about giving up on your goals, but about trusting the process and understanding that the timing and order of things are part of a greater plan. Prayer, meditation, and reflection are ways we connect to this power. These practices quiet the noise of our own limited thinking so that we can hear guidance that transcends our logic. When you align your mind and heart with something bigger, you open the door to inspiration that moves beyond what you could have imagined. It's a partnership where your effort and divine intervention work hand in hand. The power greater than you also reminds you that your purpose is bigger than your personal gain. When you align with it, your vision expands from me to we. Your goals begin to include service, contribution, and impact. This power moves through you to uplift others, to heal, and to create change that lasts beyond your lifetime. It gives your work meaning and your struggles a greater context. Surrender is often misunderstood as weakness, but in truth, it's the ultimate strength. It's choosing to let go of the illusion that you have to control every outcome and instead trusting that what's meant for you will not pass you by. Surrender allows this greater power to rearrange circumstances in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. It opens you to blessings that come from unexpected direction. When you align with a power beyond yourself, you gain access to wisdom that defies human logic. Solutions come when you least expect them. Doors open without effort. People show up to support you in ways that feel like miracles. This is not coincidence. It's the effect of being in sync with a force that moves with perfect timing and purpose. This alignment also brings peace amidst chaos. When the storms of life rage around you, you find a stillness inside that cannot be shaken. That stillness is the presence of this greater power, grounding you, reminding you that you are secure even when circumstances are unstable. Peace is the fruit of alignment. It's the sign that you are connected and protected. You can't force alignment. It's a choice you make daily. It's a decision to pause your own agenda and ask, what is the next right step, rather than how do I make this happen on my own? It's a posture of listening, waiting, and trusting. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes and the easier it is to recognize the direction being offered. In moments of uncertainty or fear, aligning with this greater power is what steadies your heart. It reminds you that you are part of a larger story, one that includes hope, restoration, and victory. When you align, fear loses its grip because you know you are supported by a force that is bigger than your doubts or limitations. The power greater than you is also a source of strength when you feel weak. It fills the gaps where your energy runs out and your resources are depleted. It doesn't mean you stop working or trying. It means you stop trying to do it all alone. You tap into the energy that renews your spirit and equips you to keep moving forward. Aligning with this power invites transformation. It changes your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from isolation to connection, from despair to hope. It teaches you to see challenges as opportunities to grow, to trust that every setback is a setup for a comeback. This power rewires your thinking and opens your heart to new possibilities. The journey of alignment is also one of patience. This greater power works in seasons, not hours. It's not instant gratification, but lasting fulfillment. Sometimes the wait feels long, but that's when your trust is tested and strengthened. Patience is a sign that you understand the value of the process and the timing of divine orchestration. You will encounter moments where your faith falters. In those moments, alignment calls you back to the present, to the practices, the prayers, the quiet moments that remind you who is really in control. The greater power is not distant or indifferent. It is close, personal, and actively engaged in your life, inviting you to walk in partnership. This alignment does not mean you lose your identity or your voice. Instead, it amplifies your true self. It clarifies your purpose and empowers you to live authentically. You no longer carry the burden of being everything. You become the vessel through which this greater power expresses its creativity, wisdom, and love. Ultimately, aligning with a power greater than you is the foundation of sustainable success, peace, and joy. It moves you beyond self-reliance to a place of grace and empowerment. It is the quiet force that transforms ordinary efforts into extraordinary outcomes, turning your life into a testimony of faith, resilience, and divine partnership